Oh, wait, there we go. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Hello. Alright, hey guys, welcome back. Oh, wait, let me just turn on the BGM. Okay. Hey guys, welcome back to another Godot live stream. I'm your host, Morgan Ozpin, and today we are back to making our virtual pet simulator in Godot. Wherein last time I didn't know what I was doing because I didn't touch the program for a while. But then when I got back into doing Godot offline, I began to start making a bunch of stuff for my freaking games shop. And I'm able to now pretty much have like a working prototype that I am proud of completing. So not only does this shop have it can not only can this shop display a bunch of, you know, costumes and stuff for your pet, but it can also display some furniture as well. Display all the owned stuff you have purchased into the shop as well. Oh, why is this in the furniture? Oh yeah, this is in the furniture. Never mind. And then it also can display all of the wall textures and stuff you can get in the shop, and all of which can be equipped under the equip tab here. And I don't know, I guess pretty much I think this shop is already done. I just need to work out the what's the term for this, the CSS or the design of this shop, and also fill out the remaining buttons here, which I think is just easy to do. I just need to create a new button class, a new button in my outliner, import the required textures needed to indicate that this button is supposed to show a specific object in the scene, and we're pretty much good to go. And if you guys don't know how this works under the hood, basically my button here, hold on, let me go to the button, to my button tab right here. Here's basically just the anatomy of what my button does, really. So under my button there is a price you can set for when the player wants to buy something in the shop. I've also have an export variable here called item type, because not only does the costume buttons here have like the same script attached to it, but also the furnitures and stuff. So all of these buttons reuse the same freaking script. So to make the script reusable, I separated them into item types: costumes, furnitures, wallpapers, and floors, and I guess music. I'm thinking maybe also giving the player the ability to buy some soundtracks into my game. But although I don't really have that many soundtracks right now, I made like 3, I think. But I don't know. We can. This may either be a idea that I may flesh out in the future, or just abandon completely because of how big that would, how time consuming it would take to, you know, to make more music assets for my game. By the way, the reason why I have the buttons here can detect the item type of the thing that that they are trying to sell you, is because, well, because we have this thing here, which is a viewport, a viewport node here that sort of previews the thing that you're trying to purchase. And in order to preview stuff in the shop, I had to, you know, change a bunch of variables, because, you know, if you want to display a costume, you first need to instantiate the pet along with the costume, get rid of all the other costumes that the pet is owning, that the pet is wearing before the player got into the shop, and also, I don't know, be able to equip it when we go down to the owned items tab here. And also, if you switch the furniture, there should also be a script that kinda hides the pet and displays the freaking item that you want to display here. That would be like the furniture for its room. But of course, when you're displaying all these differently sized items, you also need to adjust the view of the position of your camera. So as you can see, if I switch from the small painting to the arcade machine, the camera kind of moves a little bit to the negative Y direction according to Godot. So I'm able to do that with this with an export variable of costume type. Go down the freaking script here, but to be honest, guys, I haven't touched Godot in a while because I was so busy with some stuff behind the scenes. I had to freaking attend to my aunt's clinic. Like, even though I'm not a dentistry student anymore, she sometimes invites me to do some work with some of the 3D printers in her clinic to make sure they're printing the objects they need for their patients. And some of these things that they print are like veneers and crowns and complete replicas of patients' teeth in the clinic. So I was invited this past weekend to kind of attend a little bit of a seminar, because they invited like a doctor into their clinic to discuss the digital workflow around a new movement that's already coming up in the dentistry field called digital dentistry, which is basically what it sounds like. You use new technology and incorporate it into your freaking workflow as a dentist. And these new technologies include freaking 3D printers and CAD software that I've never heard of, because they were like, there's like a new thing in the medical field, and frick, I'm not even in the medical field anymore, so I don't know what the frick this is. But I don't know, I think it's easy to understand if you have some idea of how to do like basic 3D modeling, I guess. Which is why I guess they invited me. It's just because while they handle all the medical related stuff, I am there to make sense of all the tech related stuff. I guess I kind of function as a dental technician in a way, but I'm not. I don't think that's the right term for it. Like, I'm just there to kind of like make sure that all the equipment are running and stuff. And then frick, oh my god, we just I was just so busy this past weekend, and as a result I kind of neglected to do some more studying of the freaking Godot engine, and now I freaking can't read my own code now for some reason. Well, let me see if I can still remember how I made this button. So here's the script, I guess, and when the button is pressed, this function is initiated, and under this function there are multiple functions here. There's a function here that is triggered, which isn't a function in this script but from another script. I think this one's like attached to my camera, I think. And this change pause custom function is just there to make sure that the camera is positioned correctly while I am previewing all of the items here. And this function is only triggered when I click on a freaking button in my scene here. So as you can see, my camera was like facing the wall here, but if I click on the textures and the floor buttons here, it now suddenly pans out to give you guys a good view of the room. And if I click on the freaking arcade machine here, the freaking room gets hidden and replaced with this arcade machine. And as you can see, the camera kind of panned a little bit to zoom in onto the arcade machine. And the reason why that's happening is because we have this change pause variable here being run in another script somewhere. And then there's this other function here called the toggle button reset. This function is not that complicated. It just makes sure that one button gets toggled when I select a button, because by default, when I select a button here in my freaking shop, there could be more than like one button like toggled, and I don't want that. I want there to only be one button toggled every time I select a new button. So to fix that, I reference an array called all button containers, and this just pretty much references this array here. And this array is referencing all the containers in my outline, in my scene here, that contains all of my buttons. So that includes the container that contains all the costumes in my scene, which is this one. If you go down to the outline, if you look at my mouse here, this costume container references this grid container called costumes, and the own costumes container I think references like a tab container somewhere. This one, yeah, this one. It's empty right now, but when the scene gets loaded, it will reference like an array from a global script here somewhere. Yeah, this one. It will reference this contents to save dictionary. It will reference like a freaking this own items tab here. And basically under this own items array, there will be like a list of paths to different items here in my file system. So when the shop gets loaded, what will basically happen is my freaking game will reference this array under a global script. Take all those file paths and basically just instantiate all the items under those file paths. So back to freaking the button script here. So going back to, you know, freaking resetting all the toggle the toggle mode, the toggles of my buttons. My buttons will, I mean, my script will reference this array that contains all the freaking button containers, and basically for each button container, a for statement will be initiated, wherein for each toggle button in the button containers in the all button containers container. I know that's a little bit redundant, but basically for every button in a container in the array that I just talked about, if the if it is a button, if it is a button, and oh my god, frick, I'm struggling to speak right now, but if it is a button and it is not, if it is not the freaking, oh my god, if it is not the freaking button I just pressed, it will switch it. It will basically just switch it back. So in a way, so what the script basically does is it gets all the button containers, it gets all the buttons inside that button container, and if a button is pressed, this freaking function gets triggered for all of the buttons available in my shop, and if that freaking button is not the button I just pressed, it just toggles it off. So that's basically just it. That's a very complicated way of trying to explain what a a function does that basically just resets all the toggle modes of my buttons. But anyway, after triggering the toggle button reset function here, the show by button is triggered. I don't know what this does. I think okay, what does this do? Contains owned. Oh, this basically just makes sure that the show by button basically just makes sure that if it's a item I don't own, this button here that's supposed to reference the buy button is shown. But if it is already something that I own, oops. If it is a item that I already own, the equip button will be shown instead. And basically, the equip button is responsible for giving my pet his or her clothes. So that's what it does. And then okay, I think this is the freaking function that's actually notable for this script. Oh wait, am I moving? Okay, I'm not moving. Fuck. my freaking VTuber tracker kind of glitched there for a second, but anyway. Okay, here's I think the functions that actually do reference my export variables here. And that is the preview selection in equip tab and the preview selection in shop. So it says here, if shop section.name.contains owned, I run this function, else it's this function. And this if statement just is basically saying, oh, if this button is contained under the owned, under my own tab here, which is these two, this function will be triggered. Else, if it is still not an item that I own or is contained within a grid container that's not this, then this gets triggered. And let me see here. And when that gets these gets triggered, a bunch of if statements gets triggered as well. And this time it kind of references my export variables. So let me just select one of my buttons here. Okay, so this if statement will then reference my export variable, which is called select item type. And if select item type equals an enum here I've created called item type, which contains just, you know, all the item types that I sell in my freaking shop, which are costumes, furniture, wallpapers, and floors, and well, the possible music I might sell in my shop. So basically, if the item type is a costume, I will show my pet. So let's see here. So it says here pet.show. So that basically just means my pet gets shown. And the furniture instantiator, which is I think a node 3D here that's responsible for spawning in my furniture, gets hidden. And then another if statement is triggered here, which I think is a function that's only available under my node, under my freaking pet here, which is basically just responsible for just changing the costumes of my pet. And basically all these other elif statements kind of function the same way. It hides the freaking thing I want to, well, hide, then show the thing that I want to show. So if it's a furniture I wanna show, it will show my furniture, hide the pet, and hide the room, which is not here for some reason. Why is it not here? Okay, wait. I need to preview selection and okay, hold on. Let me just make sure that my equip tab is working correctly, because I noticed that the room isn't being hidden from me. Yeah. Okay, I might need to do a additional thing here, an additional condition here. Well, not a condition, but like a function here under preview selection equip tab, and that is to hide my room dot hide. Okay. I'm slowly getting where I last left off when I did this offline, but I need to hide my room as well here. Room dot hide. Well, maybe I'll put it like right over here. Okay. And for the wallpapers and floors, yeah, I think it works. Let me just save my freaking scripts, and yeah, I think that's basically all I freaking have to explain here. As for these other stuff here, these are going to be responsible for let me see here, arcade machine, wallpapers and floors. Okay, so I also made a bunch of like export groups here. And I guess I should go through them one by one. So first thing here is if I were to like select a costume here, these two variables will be important. And basically it just tells me what kind of costume am I gonna wear if I select costume as the item type here. Because, you know, I don't want especially if it's under like the owned items tab, I don't want like any freaking costumes to overlap with one another if they are under the same area where they are placed into my pet. So I guess to give you guys an example, I'm gonna buy some glasses and a monocle here. So I can equip the glasses, but in theory, if I were to equip the monocle, it will overlap with my freaking glasses here. So what do I do to freaking solve this? What did I do to freaking solve that issue? Well, I separated my costumes here into types: head, chest, tail, and body, to make sure that they are they don't like spawn or get worn altogether when the player decides to equip them into my pet's body. And this other variable, costume, is just there to, well, reference a freaking, what's it called? What's it called again? Oh yeah, here, this one. Okay, so the costume variable is used as I guess, an argument for my preview and equip section function here. And basically all it does is just reference my array over at my pet script here. Actually, not an array, but more so like a, where is it? Not this. This one. A dictionary, I mean. A dictionary. So as you can see here, I made a dictionary here that contains 2 strings. One string is a key, and the other one is a file path that my freaking game can sort of reference to instantiate the costume into my scene. So basically, when this when this function gets run, it'll first supplement the function with the costume type, and then the key the key name to which I want to instantiate the freaking costume. So when this gets run, that's the freaking plug, and then if I select another costume, the preview and equip section, not equip section, but I think preview and selection, preview and shop, I think, is the one that's actually being run here. And basically all that freaking function does is just freaking how do I say this? Freaking equips the costume onto my pet, basically. So yeah, I really don't know what else to say here. And I think all the other export variables under my button here also kind of function the same. I supplement the export variable here, for example furniture here, with a key name, and that key name will be used in reference to a dictionary I placed somewhere, and it will return to me a freaking file path that my engine can use to instantiate a freaking scene in my file system into my game. That same method goes for my furniture and my wallpapers and floors. And I guess for the wallpapers and floors, I kind of made technically 2 types of items here, because since I put wallpapers and floors into one item type, I also made 2 subtypes for the wallpapers and floors, which is just the wallpapers and the floors. And that's just to make sure that Godot knows what texture to use what texture to replace when I were to select a button under the tiles and floors section here. As you can see here, this is technically a wall, so this will replace the log cabin wall here, not the tile floor. And yeah, it works like a charm. And these 2 buttons will only change the walls, and these 2 buttons will change the floors. Because I intend these 2 buttons to be the freaking floors of my room. So yeah, those two buttons are working. In fact, all of my buttons are working. All I have to do now, in theory, is to make all the other buttons here, you know, just duplicate a bunch of buttons, put them into my scene, and I guess that should be it for my stream. I'm still kind of wondering what to do after I complete the shop. I might have to work on maybe what else do I need to work on? Maybe the oh yeah, am I able to change the look of my scene here if I were to let's go down to here, equip this, go back to scene. Oh, I guess I am able to. Okay, so another thing that I kind of struggled when making this game is I needed to figure out a way to carry all of my own items from the shop into my freaking game room scene here, which is this one, which is a lot more complicated than you might think it is. It involves like figuring out how to make a save and load file system behind the scenes, and I don't know, basically I just need to figure out how to freaking save and load my game in one way or another, and as a result that it kind of took me like an entire afternoon to figure out. But hey, it's a good thing I already figured out. I don't remember how I figured it out, but hey, it works, I guess. Let's see. Oh wait, did I? Okay, there we go. Okay, let me just make sure that all my items are working. Because I could have sworn I also had a problem before of making sure that my game remembers all the owned items in my scene whenever I start switching them from one scene to the next. Let's see. Okay, so far so good. I'm gonna go back, exit, go back to owned. Alright. Although I did kind of encounter a bug there for a second there, wherein the toggle buttons are selected for some reason. Let me do that one more time. Okay. Own furnitures, own furniture items, and own costumes. Okay. Okay. Everything is working just as intended. Okay, so I guess we'll continue to doing what's supposed to be the plan for this stream, which is to work on the freaking, what's it called? The buttons. A boring stream, I might say. I'm just like duplicating buttons and messing around with the variables, but I think it's a good time for me to just kind of chat with you guys, because I haven't really chatted with you guys in a while. So hold on. Let me see if I still remember how to do this. So let me go down here, and I'm gonna go to my scroll container, and that's not it. Scroll vertical, scroll horizontal. Ah, there. Okay. Actually, I don't think I have all the texture files here exported, so what I'll do instead is maybe start with the furnitures, maybe. Okay. I'll hide this. Open this. Go down to the scroll container, pull my thing down. I'm actually not sure if it's a good idea to have all my buttons be available right on the spot here. But so far, I enabled that one warning in Godot if ever my scene is too large to be contained. And so far, I don't think anything is being used here. No warnings being issued to me in under Godot. So far my freaking game scene is still like under normal size conditions, I guess. Anyway, let's go down to here. I don't know why, but I have a habit of clicking on the 3D scene here instead of the 2D scene here. Was it because all the items I've been working on are under the 3D scene here? But I have to keep reminding myself that the UI for my shop is under the 2D, the 2D working scene here, the 2D viewport, not the 3D scene. Anyway, what's this? This is the furniture, and it references the wooden stump. Do I even have like all the items here for my furniture instantiator? No, I only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so here's how I usually make a button here now that I have all the exported variables I need. First off, my button is linked to a texture rect, and just to change the icon, all I had to do is just unlink first the texture, and as you can see here under the atlas variable here, I already have like a sprite sheet here that contains. Well, can I even zoom in on this? Hold on. Let me see if I can get it. Yeah, this one. I don't know if you guys can see it, but I basically have like a sprite sheet here that contains already a row of all the furniture that I want to sell to my players here. And there's a lamp, there's a painting, a diploma, a dog bowl, a hamster wheel, a drinking tube. You know, all the things I already modeled in Blender and created in Pixelorama. So back to my freaking button here. If I want to change the icon here, basically I set up an atlas texture and set the width and height to 32 by 32 because for each sprite under my icon it occupies a 32 by 32 space in my sprite sheet. And to just change this freaking stump, I just need to add 32 to the x variable of my region, so that now it switches to the cactus that I've already created at the. I don't know if you guys can see it. Fuck. At the right of the stump. So this is the stump, but on the right of it is the freaking cactus. So to just kind of move, quote unquote, move the view of my sprite, I just needed to move my icon view 32 pixels to the right, because remember each sprite here occupies a 32 by 32 space. So there we go, we made a cactus, and all we need to do now is well, first I need to change the name here, just to make sure that future me doesn't get too confused about all the freaking buttons here. Like, oh my god, past Morgan is such a genius and I'm so dumb. I don't even know what all this is. So to prevent future me from getting confused, I need to freaking name all my buttons here appropriately based on what they spawn in. And then under, well, furniture, I'll type in cactus. Actually, let's make this lowercase just so I don't need to worry about pressing caps lock when I make the key name. Okay, so I made a I made a new export variable under furniture called cactus, and we will now move back. We will now move to this freaking node here called the furniture instantiator, and this is where all the furniture in my shop will get instantiated into my preview scene here, which is over here. And basically all we have to do is type in the keyword we just created, which is cactus, and under new value we will just copy paste the file path that contains my cactus, which is, I think, is under scenes and freaking scenes and cactus. Copy path. Be sure it's a copy path and not absolute path, because I think absolute path it will reference the path based on the user's own file system and not the game's own file system. And I think that would just that would just cause some trouble in the long run. So might as well have it be under the game's file system here. So I now made this thing called cactus, and let's see if this button works. This cactus variable references a path to my cactus here. So now, if I were to run this game and go down to the cactus here, it should spawn in the cactus. So let's see if this works. Yeah, there we go. and yeah, this freaking cactus I've already modeled and stuff. So yeah. Again, this entire system of using a dictionary to get a file path, to get a scene into my file system, is all something I've created like on my own and stuff. And when I was making it, I had to like figure out what even is a freaking dictionary, because I haven't really used a dictionary before in my life, aside from maybe making like an audio music player for my website back then. But I didn't know what a freaking dictionary was back then. And then once I freaking knew what dictionary does, I'm like, wow, okay, so this the dictionary variable is very useful, because, you know, I can just type in a key name and it will return to me the value that's assigned to the key name in my dictionary, and that's pretty much perfect for like instantiating scenes into my game and stuff. So yeah, basically that's just how I make my buttons here. So we will make more of this over here. Let's duplicate this freaking button, and I don't know what this button is supposed to be. Let me scroll this down. Okay. Okay, before I make any changes to the actual button node here, I first need to know what's the thing I need to instantiate here now. And it's a clock. Okay, so let's name this button to clock. Not that it really, again, it doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter what the name of your button is. I'm only doing this just to make sure that I know what this button does when I go through the outliner of my scene here. What really does matter is the furniture export variable here, which I will call clock. I'll not add any caps lock to make it easy for me to make a variable, a new key in my furniture instantiator here. So let's call this clock, and then I'm going to go to my file system here under the bottom left, and let's click on clock. That's clock. And basically this is just an empty scene that contains nothing but the clock. See, it's like that. So I'm gonna I get rid of all these things actually. Copy path, paste it here, and let's type in the key name, which is clock. Add the key value pair, and see if this works. Alright. So this is the stump, this is the cactus, and this is the clock. Now, as you can see here, the clock is kinda not centered in a way, which is why we will be using my buttons, my camera's, what's it called? My camera's change pause function here to change the position and angle of the camera that's previewing my my furniture here, which is the clock. And how I do that is, as you can see here, in this change pause variable, change pause function, I insert these two arguments here, which is the camera pause and the angle pause, and this is responsible for. Let me just go to under clock. And all these variables basically just accept is a vector free. And this vector free will be used as information to where the position of my camera will be based on the XYZ coordinates of my freaking game. So as of now, the camera position of my clock when it gets previewed is at 0 is to 0.53 in the Y axis to 1.565 in the Z axis. The clock is a bit too, too low. So we'll try to maybe increase the position of my camera ever so slightly down. So let's see if this works. Okay, that's way too far up, so what we'll do is change this to 0.5 maybe? Okay, let's play this. Nope, still too far. 0.2. And I guess while I'm at it, I just realized that I can also change the these variables in real time, really. Okay, that's not enough. Maybe 0 or 0.1. Okay, that's much better. It's more centered and stuff. So I'll keep the angle at that. And I also made an angle pause. Well, I don't think that's the right way to name this variable, but basically this just changes the angle of my camera. I don't use it for the furniture items here because they're all like, they already give me like a good angle to view this for all these items. But I do use that angle pause for my freaking textures here when I have to preview my entire room, and my room is hella big. So in order to do that, not only do I have to change the position of my camera, but also the angle to which I preview my room here, which is at a bird's eye view technically. And if I go down to my floor button here, you can see that the angle pause is like different compared to my furniture angle variable here. It's a 0, 0, 0. And yeah, that's basically how it works. And there we go. We made a freaking button here. Let's make a new button once more. Call this I don't know what to call this. Let me do this one more time. 32. That ain't right. Wait. What's 0? Okay, that's a lot. Oh wait, I think I may have I may have done something wherein I was like trying to figure out how I should like create the items in my freaking shop here. How I would order them. And I think I may have made the arcade be the first button here, and now I'm getting a duplicate of it. But no matter. I think I just need, all I need to do is just skip this to 288 plus 64. 288 plus 64. There we go. We got a cupcake. And then under cupcake, under this new cupcake icon here, change the name to cupcake. Under furniture, change this to cupcake. And yep, that works. Then furniture instantiator. Let's get cupcake up in here. And let's get this copy path. Ay. There we go. Okay, nice. Might have to change the camera pause here a little bit. All right, so I think that's it. That's all I can say about freaking Godot right now. I kind of want to dedicate the remainder of the stream to maybe talking to you guys about what I've been doing this past few days since I haven't streamed. Hold on, let me first change the angle of this. 0 maybe? Let's see. Nope. How about 1? Nope, too low. 0.5 maybe. 0.5. Okay. Holy crap. It has been a long time since I've streamed. And the reason why is because I've been so busy with doing some stuff at my aunt's clinic. More specifically, I attended a seminar there that's all about freaking 3D printing. Well, not 3D printing, but more so like incorporating digital dentistry into my aunt's clinic in a way. Let me change this to 0.4. And not gonna lie though, even though I'm not that well interested in freaking dentistry anymore, I'm still kind of interested in freaking digital dentistry in a way. Because I guess the one question that kind of still boggles my mind in a way is how dentists are incorporating these, these tools that that normally I would think are used for things like ads or rendering stuff for your hobbies or for your animations and for your games. How does a dentist use all of those tools to make like a thing that they can use to take care of their patient? And the answer to that is much more complicated, but much more relevant than you think. Like for example, they use the freaking technology, the 3D CAD CAM and printing technology to make stuff like veneers. And at first I thought, wait, veneers? Like that? If you guys don't know what a veneer is, it's basically just like a little like piece of plastic you put into your teeth. They're not like full-on crowns that fully replace a teeth, but more so like replace like a surface of your teeth. So say for example, I don't know, you have teeth that looks ugly from the front. What you would do is you get a veneer and you just put that veneer on top of that ugly looking part of your teeth, and that veneer is basically just there for, I guess, aesthetic reasons, to make sure your teeth looks good in the mouth. And as you can tell, since it's just like a thin piece of plastic, I would think, oh, that would be impossible to freaking print, because for a plastic as thin as that, it might easily break inside of a printer, in theory, of course. But then my freaking aunt purchased this printer called the PONex Mini, and I think this is a budget printer created by this company called PONex. And basically this is just a printer that's just made for freaking dentistry purposes. And I thought, what, a freaking 3D printer for dentistry purposes? And yeah, it turns out there is a freaking class of 3D printers that's just there to fulfill a specific need in a specific medical field, which is dentistry. And and my confirmation to the fact is it's supported when I open up CheetoBox for the first time in a while, and I look up a way to set up the printer settings for the PONex Mini. And as I can see that CheetoBox already have like default settings for specific things like ortho models or implant surgical guides and stuff, and I'm like, whoa, what? this is I would have loved this to be like a thing for like other stuff. Because I used to also do a bunch of 3D printing for my dad's clinic way back then. And I always remember that the one thing that always kind of messed me up is the freaking slicer settings when I open up CheetoBox. Because if you don't know the correct slicer settings in CheetoBox, your 3D print is most likely to fail in your freaking 3D printer. And if it fails, you know what that means. You need to freaking clean your 3D printer. And since it's a resin printer, you have to freaking clean all the freaking resin and shit. You need to make sure that all the debris is out. And most of the time, you don't even know. You forget that there's some debris in the freaking resin tank. And by the time you start printing shit, you don't realize that debris inside the resin tank is being crushed by the build platform in a way that's also gonna ruin the LCD in the long run. It's like, that sucks. Freaking PONex, man, what the fuck? That freaking 3D printer just has everything for what you need it to be, which is a dentist's 3D printer. So yeah, I've been freaking studying that in the weekend. Let me just make a new button here real quickly. And there's some other stuff we talked about. Some stuff I'm kind of familiar with, like how to make surgical guides, but the lecturer I was with when I was at my aunt's clinic used like a different software called Romexis. I think it's called Romexis. Was it Romexis or was it like... Yeah, I think it's called Romexis. Romexis is basically just a better software than the one I used before when I was working under my dad when we were trying to study 3D printing for the first time. Oh, Romexis freaking rules as a program. Although as someone who uses open source software for my shit here in this channel, I'm still kind of I kind of don't know whether I want to trust Romexis in the long run, because as the story of Adobe can tell us a little bit about paid software, you know, companies will start charging you a lot if they knew that they can exploit you for your money and shit. But so far, Romexis is a pretty good program. I don't want to be all against proprietary software, because I mean, now that I've learned that open source software has some downsides, considering that there's now this freaking fiasco wherein open source programs like Godot. I heard Godot kind of had this problem a little while back, wherein people are now putting features into the game editor, the game engine. Holy shit, it's raining outside. But yeah, people are. Frick, I need to close the window. Hold on. It's freaking pouring outside. Holy shit. Alright. But yeah, people are freaking complaining that in the Git page of Godot, there are all of these people putting code made from AI that basically just kind of ruins the game engine in a way, and it kind of sucks for all the moderators in charge of making sure that these code doesn't get added into Godot game engine, because all these AI code is being forced into Godot at 100 times speed with because you know AI just makes it easier for people to just add code without them knowing what this code actually does, and as a result, I mean Godot is still a pretty good engine, but it's now really hard now to kind of make sure that Godot stays a game engine that is fully functioning, knowing that now we already have all these vibe coders these vibe coders putting all these AI shit into Godot and making a mess with it, if they even if they don't know what the code they just put into was. So yeah, but yeah, even though I don't I think there even though I think there are problems in both proprietary and open source programs in our computer, there will I think I still kind of lean more in going for the open source route when it comes to programs, because when it comes to proprietary stuff, I don't know, I just don't like the fact that that one day your freaking workflow would just get removed from you just because the company behind the program that you are using in your workflow just decided to charge you more and make your freaking life a living hell more and more. That actually happened to one of my freaking lecturers in my aunt's clinic one day during the weekend, I mean, because he used to work on this program called MeditLink, and MeditLink is basically just a CAD CAM software for dentists for making crowns and aligners and stuff for them. And for the longest time, it was a free software that he can just use anytime he wants. But now, all of a sudden, when he was lecturing, he wanted to show us this feature under MeditLink. And when he tried to open this part of the program, a freaking dialogue option popped up. And if you know, if you have been a user of Adobe, you know what that means. Yeah, the freaking pop-up dialogue says you need a subscription required to freaking use this program, and he's like, no! And I can just see the life in his freaking eyes flash before his eyes, because now he realizes that, holy shit, a freaking part of his workflow is just gone in the blink of an eye and shit. And I know that's just something I just don't like about proprietary software. It's not something that's present with them at the present moment, but for what they kinda set you up in the future. Because at least for open source software, they kinda stay free forever. and as long as people are there contributing to the program, there will always be there will always be a steady line of people that will support that will support the program in the long run. A good example of this is like freaking GIMP. I use GIMP like ever since I have been running this channel from the beginning, and people are like, what? People are like, what? What do you mean use GIMP? GIMP sucks. You should use Photoshop or I don't know, or Canva or even Krita. Krita could be a good photo editing app. And yeah, I can maybe agree because Krita can be a good photo editing app if I really tried. But Photoshop and Canva, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I could say Canva and Photoshop can be a better alternative. Because the thing about GIMP is that it always stayed free, and because it has always stayed free and open source, meaning that people are contributing to the code instead of a set of people in a boardroom trying to discuss how the price of that freaking software should be. I can fully trust that GIMP would still give me the same quality of service later down in the line when I'm like freaking 50 years old. Heck, I've been using it since I've been using GIMP for like I don't know, like 8 years now, and still hasn't failed me. I have seen better programs like Pixie Editor, but frick, I still go back to GIMP because GIMP just pretty much stays the same. It never kind of gave up on its community. It's still a reliable program that I can trust on to be a photo editor for me later down the line. And that's just not something I can say with paid programs like frickin' Canva or and Photoshop. They will do something shitty later down the line. I can just feel it. I can just kind of sort of feel that in a few years time there would be some controversy with Affinity Photo or something. I can't predict the future, but I just have this like inkling feeling that Affinity would have the same story that Adobe will have when it comes to their freaking prices and this useless features that no one has ever asked for later down the line. I just kind of feel it, you know. And I guess the same goes for Blender. Blender is also something that I am still using even up to now. Let me make a yarn freaking button here. Although I must say though, with with a complicated program like Blender, I'm glad that the main Blender developers who are in charge of, you know, of creating the main Blender program is still, you know, doing okay for me so far. But when it comes to extensions, I feel like it's a different story. Because while Blender stays a free and open source software, the third-party extensions and add-ons that I use for the program, like the freaking .vrm add-on that I use to make all of my VTuber models, is, I guess technically not a... I mean, I guess it is a free and open source program, but the community there is just so small. And it's not really an add-on that's widely used by the wide Blender community. That I'm now getting like flashbacks to to freaking Adobe when I use freaking the .vrm add-on, and I'm like, yo, can I really rely on this extension to carry me on for the next few years and shit? That's why I kind of hesitated to release my 2D VTuber rigging video. Because I initially wanted that. I initially wanted to include a section of that video wherein I were to discuss about when I had to discuss about the freaking rigging for 3D VTubers. But then I noticed that the .vrm add-on for Blender is not supported for the latest Blender release. And I'm like, what? Where the frick is it? And I had to freaking download 4.5 LTS to get this shit running. And thank God it's still running in that freaking version. But if I were to present this new way of rigging 3D VTubers without Unity, I had to make sure that it's like something that people can use using the updated software of today. So, trying to discuss about the .vrm add-on right now. I don't know, I feel like it will be old news by the time I freaking release the video, because I'm not even sure whether the .vrm add-ons would have a version stable for 5.2 LTS or something. Maybe it's a freaking extension that's only going to get updates every time a new LTS version is released for Blender. But for now, I'm not sure. I hope that a new stable version of it is available for 5.2 LTS, but only time can tell. Anyway, let's go make a yarn variable here and make a copy path. Okay, let's see if this works. There it is. Okay. Can I wait? That's in the holy shit, right? Let me go to the yarn here real quickly. Let me move this back a couple of inches, like here. I realized that this thing is kind of offset a little bit from the center of the scene, so what I'll do is move it to the center, like that, and go back to the main shop scene here, and let's see if this works. There we go. Okay. Yeah, I think it's a good place to put my yarn, like that. Alright, let's go back to duplicating some freaking buttons. This is the sunflower. We can also make a the margin. The furniture, I'll call this sunflower. Save my scene. Let's go to let's see, let's go to my furniture instantiator. I didn't need to get a preview of the script there. Where is the sunflower? Here it is. Copy path. Control V. Alright. Okay, let's see how this looks in the preview of the shop. I think the camera can be a bit lower. Hold on. Let me go to the camera. Negative 0.1. Let's do that. Oh wait, it's the angle. Hold on. Wrong. 0.2 point. Sorry, 2.1. Oh, let me save my scene. Okay. Point 7. I forgot to save my scene. There we go. Yeah, that's much better. Alright. Okay. Back to... Back to here. Get this. Okay. Alright. Plus 32. There we go. I'll call this basketball. And under basketball, we will make a... let's see. I always get... I know, I'm getting confused about what to type here. Let's go basketball. There we go. And basketball will have a place in the furniture instantiator. And let's search for basketball. Copy absolute copy path. Too high. That camera's too high. 0.2. And maybe let's make it nearer. 1.2 for the Z. Oh yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Alright. Back to talking about my freaking trip to my aunt's clinic. Frick, I have a lot of funny stories when I freaking attended the freaking seminar. Because if you guys don't know, my aunt's clinic is just is so small. Like the surface area of the entire floor plan of my freaking aunt's clinic is like the freaking size of a freaking mouse hole. Like you can pretty much hear what other people are doing from another room. If you try, it's that small of a dental clinic. So one time I had to like freaking go to the washroom in my freaking. Actually no, I was eating like this freaking fish meal that they were serving up in my freaking my freaking aunt's clinic. They were serving fish fillet to all the guests that were in this freaking talk with these lecturers about digital dentistry. You know, this was a good meal. I love the fish fillet and shit. And I put my freaking tray down to listen to the talk, and then all of a sudden my freaking big freaking tummy started freaking rumbling. And looked down and I'm like, what the fuck is happening? And my freaking tongue goes, and like, ah! And that's when I realized I had to freaking take a number 2 somewhere. And I look at the freaking restroom door, and I realized that remember the freaking size of my aunt's clinic is the freaking size of a freaking household, and where the lecturer was standing, he was like right next to the freaking restroom, and in fact, everyone is technically next to the freaking restroom because that's just how small of a room we were in. So I was like trying to debate to myself whether I should freaking take a number 2 in this freaking restroom because this, this freaking lecturer. I don't know. I'm not into that issue, but I kind of admire his work. He kind of has a thing. He's kind of known in this space as the guy that knows all the tech around dentistry. So I kind of relate to him in a way where freaking when you seem to be the only guy that kind of knows how to do all these computer shits in your computer. So I want to make a good impression, but I really need to take a shit. So I freaking was like staring at the bathroom wall, and I was staring at the freaking lecturer, and I was like, oh my god, I need to poop, but I don't want to make an ass of myself by making an ass in front of this entire room. Oh frick. Holy god. You guys hear that? That was a freaking lightning strike. Holy shit. But anyway, yeah, I had to freaking take a shit somewhere. But then I freaking gave in. I had to like, oh shit, okay, I need to. Maybe I can do like a stealth shit, I can do this stealthily, like some solid snake. I can solid snake this shit. I can leave the log, and no one will notice. So I entered the bath. I quietly, without disturbing anyone, I opened the door to the washroom. I closed the door. I opened the lid. I took off my pants, and I carefully took out the log from my ass, and I had to make sure no one can hear me. And I was like, okay, I need to do this very, very quietly. So I like, okay, freaking gotta force my bum. First log is out. I'm like, good, okay, let's do it. Alright, second log. Okay, good. Freaking boop! Freaking chef's kiss. No, nothing can be heard, at least from my perspective. And then third log. I was about to freaking get it out of my freaking system, and I heard. And I was like, no! No! I'm like, oh my god, this is a freaking embarrassment. I had to. But I was still praying. I was still praying that no one heard my shit. No one heard me shit. Like no one. I was praying to God. No one literally heard me shit my pants. I mean, not shit my pants, but like sit on the toilet. So I freaking washed my hands. I put the lid down. I still felt like there was some shit. There was still something backed up within me, but I had to freaking endure it because I don't want to make more of an ass of myself. And I quietly sit back down to my seat to listen on this lecture. Now, hours have passed. I'm already going home from the clinic. I waved goodbye to my aunt and the lecturers who were in charge of teaching us all these dentistry shit. And I guess I failed to neglect that my mom was also there because she's also a dentist and she wanted to know what we were doing. So we were going home. My mom was with me. And I told her about the fact that I freaking took a number 2 during the lecture, and I asked her, "Yo, mom, did you hear anything while I was over there doing my thing?" And she was like, "Yeah, yeah." Yeah, I was like, no, no, and I freaking, oh my god, I couldn't sleep the next night because I knew that in one way or another, these freaking all these people that were in this freaking room with me, this tiny ass room, have heard me shit on the other end somewhere, and I was like, oh my god, it was such an embarrassment. Like, holy shit, I don't want to. You know, maybe it's a good thing that I don't show my face on the internet. Is to hide the shame that I have that I have bestowed upon my family as an heir, all because I took a shit on the other end of the freaking line and stuff. Oh my god, I have disgraced my family. I have disgraced my friends. I have disgraced the future generations for for years to come. Everyone will know me as the legend of the one who shits on the corner of some Filipino restroom somewhere. And I don't know. I don't know how to handle that. Oh my god. Anyway, but that's the reason why we should move on. Act like nothing's happened. Act like nothing has happened and shit. And, you know, just move on, I guess. I don't know. I don't know how to freaking transition from this topic. I don't know why, but I was like hyping my family up because my family up because they kind of knew that I'm already like streaming on the side here. But I was like kind of started hyping them up that, hey guys, I'm gonna be freaking this. I'm gonna be telling this freaking shit story, and it'll be awesome in front of my viewers and shit. And now that I'm telling you guys this, I'm like, okay, maybe it's not worth it. Okay, let me go to the texture here. Put on this sunflower, and let's put this to this igloo. Oh my god. Call this igloo, and the preferential instantiator will type in igloo, and igloo. The igloo path. There we go. Alright, let's see if this works. There we go. That was pretty freaking big. Let me try to zoom out my camera for that. Let's see. Camera pause. 1. Let's go for 2. Alright. Alright, there we go. Yeah, that's much better. Okay, that's good for me. Let's make a duplicate of the basketball. Put the scroll down. Let's see, camera position. I don't know why I'm suddenly speaking in an Asian accent right now. But hey, I'm Filipino, I can get away with that. Let's go with let's make this texture unique. Add 32 to this. That's not the texture. Plus 32. Oh wait, it's the rug. Did I make the rug here already? Oh, I did. Okay, never mind. I did make the rug. Let's see. I'll call this rug. Under furniture, call it rug. And then under here, furniture instantiator, we'll type in rug and its file path. Okay. Oh my god, let me go down here. By the way, while I was in my freaking when I was in the seminar this weekend, I kind of realized that for all the dentists and technicians there, I kind of realized that they kind of know me as the 3D modeler guy for some reason, and that kind of surprised me because up to now I'd never shown anyone that I was really good at freaking Blender and stuff, aside from maybe my mom and maybe my dad. And I only showed them like a couple of things in the past about I made like a few models back then for them, and it's not that much or that that much of a thing to make me be the guy that is known as the 3D modeler guy to these dentists and technicians. And I'm like wondering right now, where did they get the idea that I am the guy that could make stuff in a 3D software? Okay, hold on. What am I doing again? Oh yeah, I'm freaking changing the freaking camera here. Go with 2. Alright. Actually, wait, no, I think I need to make this 0 and 0. Maybe 3, and then x-axis of 90. This is how it works. Let me see, how does the camera work again? Okay. So I need to input like an angle here because I want the rug preview here to kind of preview it from a bird's eye view. So I need to change the angle, and I was like wondering whether this is supposed to be in degrees or radians. But I think I made it so that this gets converted into radians, which is something that Godot can only understand for some reason. Okay. Yeah, there we go. Much better. Maybe we can make it a bit higher. We can make it like 4. Maybe let's make the camera a bit higher. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Fine with me. Let's make a duplicate of this. Anyway, I don't know why, but in the dentistry field right now, they kind of know me as the freaking 3D printer kind of guy. The guy that knows how to 3D print stuff and shit. And I'm like, what? Because I was like talking to like all the freaking dentists and technicians there, and they kind of and from my kind of point of view, they kind of know me for being good at 3D software for some reason. I'm like, where the fuck did you get that? Um, because I usually, keep all of my 3D modeling here on my YouTube channel. I sometimes, well, not very often, but I seldomly post some stuff in private groups somewhere. But other than that, I don't know how these dentists know me as the guy that knows how to 3D print shit. And heck, that's the reason why my aunt kind of invited me. And I guess to be fair, my aunt knew me as a 3D printer god because she's family. She kind of knows what I do because she is like friends with my mom and stuff. But I guess that kind of goes to show that freaking Filipinos, man, freaking the connections, the what's it, the 6 degrees of the 6 degree theory of getting to know people is kind of real in a way. Like it's just that easy to kind of get information passed around, I guess. And I don't know if that's like a general human thing, or if that's just a Filipino thing, knowing that most Filipinos like me are well known for talking a lot and doing some chismis. Call it chismis, but really it's just like gossip, I guess, behind the scenes. But yeah, I'm not sure how they freaking know me as the 3D printer guy. Maybe that's the reason why my aunt is also like pushing me to work with her, because she knows that I have this reputation in the dental field for some reason. But anyway, this is now a birdhouse. Let me turn this into birdhouse. Okay. Call this birdhouse. Okay. Let's do that, and I just realized that there's no... Oh no, I did model that, right? Wait, hold on. No, that's not it. We'll call this the Blender files, GOTF files, mouse project, background assets, and oh wait, did I forget to... Oh god, I think I forgot to import the texture. Hold on. Need to go back to Blender. I realize I may have forgotten to import some 3D models here. Because I remember like counting my background assets before and realizing that the number of sprites I have in my furniture sprite sheet doesn't match with the number of scenes I have for my background assets. I was like, what am I missing? And it turns out it's the freaking birdhouse. Alright, let's go back to the mouse project. Let's go to here. Let's see. There it is. Give me that. Alright. So you need to make sure everything about this is used. Okay. Let's export this as a... I guess it's a good time for me to give you guys a brief review of how I import my files from Blender to Godot. Basically, I just make a GLTF file. I go down to my GLTF. I go to save. I go save it somewhere, and to me, that file path is under my my background assets. Include limited objects. Select the objects. I mean, so that I can tell Blender that I only want to export the models that I've just selected, which is this one. And then, see, wait, is it the only one that's selected, or is it? Yeah, it's the only one selected. So I'm gonna export this as a GLTF under my background assets. I'm gonna name this birdhouse, and sure, this only limited to selected objects. Don't need to change anything in the transformation, material, nah. Shape keys, I'll leave that on, but there's really no shape keys in this freaking thing. And yeah, I think that's it. I'm gonna export this. Nice. And then under Godot, we will make we will make a new scene for this project. 3D scene, I might add, for this furniture. And this furniture should have where is it? Birdhouse. Where's birdhouse? Okay, wait, let me put this into my import folder, which is over here. I'm gonna import my... I'm just gonna left click and drag my GLB file into my background assets folder over here. It really doesn't matter where you put it here. It's just I'm just putting it in background assets just to make sure it's all orderly in my file system. And over here, I think we can just put this here. Yeah, there we go. All right, and then this the top. Let's make this. Let's make it centered. I don't need this to be. Make local. There we go. Put this here, like that. Node 3D. Nope. It's under scenes, assets, background assets. I'm gonna call this bird house. I'm actually not sure whether I should make this a .tscn file or as a .tres file. So I'm still not sure what's the difference between those two. So for now, I'll make a .tres file and then go down here.
Hey, how you going?
Hey, yo, what up? You will make a shader material, and you will make where is this? Oh, this is a stand. The stand is colored brown, so we'll go with glass step shader. I call this glass step shader, but really it's just a shader, a regular toon shader, but I can also add a bit of a glow to it. some backlighting to it if I want to. And let's put this up. Let's include some of this. Maybe this. Let's see. So the reason I'm setting up my materials once again is because I cannot just export my toon shaders from Blender to Godot, so I have to like redo it again. And basically this this glass step shader is a visual shader I've created here. And it just contains all these nodes. This is the simpler one to set up, which is the fragment shaders. It contains like color parameters and stuff to set up the colors of my shadows and my thing. But then you go down to my light and it's like, holy shit. This is the code that's actually turning my shader into a toon shader. Holy shit, look at this. Oh my god. I copied a code from... Who's that guy again? Was it Saturday 06? No, Saturday 06 the one that made the Blender VRM add-on. Actually, toon shader. Ayan. Bin bun. If you want to know more about toon shading, I basically just copied the code here. He wrote it in what's the freaking language here? HLSL or something. He wrote it in some branch of C language, I think. In the general shading language, I think. But for me, I went for visual shaders because I'm much more used to constructing shaders and materials in Blender, and this just feels like familiar territory for me. So I just converted his code into visual shaders here in Godot. As a result, we have this here. Okay. I just hope Godot doesn't deprecate the visual shading language. Because I know they did that once when they were trying to create a visual language for just doing, you know, basic scripting under Godot. they deprecated that whole feature, a visual shading language for general scripting in Godot. And I don't want it to happen to its visual shading features. So let's hope that this feature stays the same. Anyway, need to change the RAM intensity, I think. Oh wait, no, that's not it. There we go. Okay. That's the shade. Let me make this a bit darker. There we go. That seems like the... Let's make it a bit less saturated, like that. And then, for the birdhouse walls, make this a shader material, make this this color parameter, make the main color be yellowish. Shadow intensity, make it bright, hella bright. There we go. Gotta be hella bright. Decrease the number of steps to make the light less intense. And yeah, I think that's good. Let's include one more thing here. That's the birdhouse roof. Shader material. Let's get this imported. And let's make it a bit darker, maybe, like that. And maybe change the rim lighting a little bit. I don't like that. Okay, let's also do the rim lining for this, like maybe like that, maybe. Yeah, that works for me. And I guess for the wood, I don't want any shine to it, so we'll keep this at 1. Okay, there we go. We imported the birdhouse and set up all of its materials. Now all we have to do is instantiate it onto my shop. And to do that, let's go back to my button here. Birdhouse. Let's go to the furniture instantiator. Type in the key name and the key value, which is this model's path. That's located somewhere here in my file folder. Under scenes, background assets, and birdhouse. There it is. Copy path. Paste that shit. There we go. Oh my god, we are working. It's working. It's working. Give me that. Oh, I may have to copy. I think I might copy the settings for the sunflower. Because I'm pretty sure this is like the same height and size as the sunflower, so I can just copy the camera position of this to my birdhouse. Same goes for its angle. Copy. I guess I don't need to do this, it's just 0, 0, 0. Okay, here we go. It seeseems like I'm staring it from the bottom a little bit, so let's make it a bit higher. 0.9, let's go. Yeah, that looks much better. It even like snugly fits onto the preview screen here. Okay, that's good. And then I'll make more buttons, I guess. Alright. How long have I been streaming, by the way? An hour and 57 minutes? Okay. I mean, I'm not sure if I want to continue doing all... I'm not sure if I want to continue this on stream. Or finish this on stream, I mean. Well, let's see. If I have some stuff to talk about, I'll I'll continue making some buttons here on this side. So what can we talk about now? So yeah, that's basically all I've been doing on the weekend. Just doing some digital dentistry stuff with my aunt. Basically making sure that all the 3D printing stuff is working and shit for her clinic. And okay. I also attended like a play with my mom just yesterday. It was called La Mancha, and I think La Mancha is based on Don Quixote, and Don Quixote, I think, is all about a man trying to live his best life by trying to live in a delusion, I think. Is that what Don Quixote is? I wonder. What's Don Quixote? The ingenious gentleman Don Quixote of La Mancha is a Spanish novel by Miguel de Cervantes, originally published in 2 parts in 1605 and 1615. The novel is considered a founding work of Western literature. Okay, but what's the synopsis of this? Okay, the plot revolves around the adventures of a member of the lowest nobility, a hidalgo from La Mancha, and Alonso Quijano, who reads so many chivalric romances that he decides to become a knight-errant, a caballero andante, to revive chivalry and serve his nation under the name Don Quixote de la Mancha. He recruits as his squire a simple farm laborer, Sancho Panza, who brings earthly wit to Don Quixote's lofty rhetoric. In the first part of the book, Don Quixote does not see the word for what it is and prefers to imagine that he is living out a knightly story meant for the annals of all time as Salvador de Madariaga, how you pronounce it? Salvador de Madariaga pointed out in his Guía del Lector del Quijote, referring to the sanctification of Don Quixote and Quixotization of Sancho. Sancho's spirit ascends from reality to illusion. Don Quixote's declines from illusion to reality. Yeah, so basically this, I watched a play based on Don Quixote, I guess. I didn't know that Don Quixote is, the full name of the story is Don Quixote of La Mancha. I didn't know that was the full name of it. But anyway, I watched that with my mom, and that freaking play just is kind of hit me in a way. It's all about this guy trying to, I guess, live. I think Don Quixote's story, the story of Don Quixote, basically just boils down to a man trying to live in a fantasy because he just couldn't deal with the reality that he is living in right now. We're in this no such thing as nobility or fine maidens that you can just go to and sway. And there's no such thing as, good always triumphing over evil. It's it's all about man trying to cope with the fact that the world just doesn't operate in a way that he likes it to be, which is in the way that fairy tales most likely portray the world to be, which is of nobility and of the idea that if you work hard enough or strive hard for your goals, you will eventually be able to freaking overcome anything that comes your way. But the world is just not like that. And I guess the whole moral of this entire play is, even if you kind of live in a world that's bleak and lacks all the charm and nuance and all the charm and chivalry in fairy tales, doesn't mean we have to succumb to living in the rules of what's being portrayed in Don Quixote, in the world of Don Quixote. If you can at least be that one knight that that just strives to do good, maybe others will do the same thing, and maybe eventually the world will maybe change in the way that you want to. And if not, you can at least die knowing that you live the life that you kind of wish that you want to live. Which is to be a good person, which is what the old man of La Mancha really is. Although I gotta say though, I don't think there are just some things in La Mancha that didn't age well. Like the fact that this guy, the main character, is basically just a white knight in front of this this fine, well, quote unquote, fine lady. But really though, the film portrayed the romantic interest of this play to be I think a prostitute, or just like maybe just a woman from marginalized group in society, I think. And there were a lot of things that kind of made you realize that, oh, these guys are living in reality. Like for the fact that they as a the girl at one point, and you know, it really broke down her spirits and also broke down the knight character in this story. But still, I still kind of appreciate what the play is trying to tell us, that, you know, even if the world is a bleak world, it doesn't mean you need to act bleak within it. You can still be the person that you want to be, because in the end, though, all of us will die, and when we are at death's bed, we want to die knowing that we lived the life that we kind of wish that we want to, you know, live. And La Mancha just tells us that if you want to live the life that you want, then do it, even if you know that the world would probably disgrace you for it, or look down for your opponent, because it's it's true to you, and no one is getting hurt from what you want the world to be. So why act against that feeling? Might as well just be the person that you want to be, rather than to act the same way as the others and never have like any hope or change in society, I guess. I guess it kind of this whole play kind of reminds me of that one scene in because I used to watch like season 1 of The Sandman on Netflix, and I never read the book from Neil Gaiman, but I remembered that there was this one freaking, I would say, fight scene, but it's really more so like a demonstration of the powers between one character, the main character Sandman, and the other character who is basically who is Satan. So it's like Sandman versus Satan. They are going at this freaking. They were having this duel, wherein the rules of the duel is that you must recite. Is that you must recite a thing that you know will be able to defeat the thing that your opponent just recited. So, like for example, you can say cockroach, but then the other person will say, I don't know, like a human, because you know a human can just step on a cockroach, so that can be that those two things will get spawned into the world, and you will, I guess, try to deal with that thing as you are like battling with this with your opponent. So basically, they're like shouting cockroach, human, tiger, earthquake, and then I know earthquake, meteor shower, or I don't know, like a planet, and then it came to a point wherein Satan said freaking black hole, and then freaking a black hole started to be summoned, and freaking the Sandman was like starting to kind of get the loose oxygen, because you know he's a freaking black hole spawned in and he doesn't know what to say, and you know what the frick would freaking defeat a black hole, and this one answer to that is freaking hope. And you know, in a way, that's the way he freaking won that sort of stupid duel, really. Is that he realized that even with the power of a black hole, the only thing that can kind of overcome it is hope, in a way. So yeah, that's all I have to say about this play called La Mancha. Let me just type in the witch spot here. Ugh. And let's you know what, maybe I'll end the stream right here. I feel like this is a good time. I run out of freaking stuff to say about what I did on the weekend. I mean, aside from the play and my freaking visit to my aunt's clinic to do some digital dentistry shit. I don't know. I was just like kind of working on my game and improving upon some stuff in the shop and stuff. And let me put this here. The witch pit. Copy path. Paste. Control S. Alright. Oh wait, I forgot to add the... Ah, shit. Let's get the witch pot up in here. Let's see if this spawns in. Where is the witch pot? Oh, it's not centered. Oh my god. Alright, let's put the back in. Put it back in the center, I guess. Right. 0, 0, 0. Right. There we go. Too low. Let's put it up a little bit. And let's see, 0.9, 1.565, 0.5. Yep, that's good. Alright, so I guess this is gonna be it for today's stream, guys. I know it's not an eventful stream like all the other Godot streams out there, but really, this is really a slow burn project for you guys. I don't know when this program or this game will come out, but I'm thinking maybe once I get the whole petting side of this game fixed, I could make maybe like a devlog video on my channel to kinda tell you guys a little bit about how I made all the code I've made up to now, from the shop to the changing of the furniture and the walls and the floors in my room, to being able to make the animations of your pet change based on some buttons you press on screen and stuff. So yeah, this is gonna be it for the stream, and also once I got that fixed, maybe I will once I get the devlog video out, maybe I'll try to maybe, I don't know, work on some mini games. So, well, technically this game is gonna be a game that contains a bunch of mini games. So I can make a lot of devlog videos out of this in a way. So anyway, this is gonna be it for today's stream, guys. If you like what you see, be sure to like and subscribe. And as always, go read a book. Bye bye!